I'd like to call the meeting to order, the August 10th Village Board meeting to order. Thank you. Clerk, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Donnersberger. Trustee Eck.
Present.
Trustee Gazis.
Present.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Here.
Trustee Saldana.
Here.
Trustee Svetska.
Here.
And President Wittenberg.
Here. Can we now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I want to let everyone know that you can view our meeting on Comcast Channel 6, Facebook, and YouTube TV, IHP TV, if you can't make our meetings in person. But we're glad you are here in person. Thank you. I would now like to take a moment to do a mayor's report. I would like to formally welcome Mr. Gavin Morgan to our village as our new village administrator. I hope you will all take a moment to welcome Gavin after our board meeting, or stop in at Village Hall, or send him an email to introduce yourself and discuss any ideas you may have to improve our community at gmorgan@indianheadpark-il.gov. I would like to thank Mr. Andy Farini for serving as our interim village administrator during the transition in July. So thank you. Who would have known that we would have had an EF1 hurricane during the transition, right? You did a great job, and we appreciate it very much. Wolf Road Phase 1 redesign update. I'm sure you're all wondering what is going to be happening with Wolf Road. August 7th, we had the village administration and 2 elected officials, myself and Trustee Eck, participated in a monthly status meeting for the Wolf Road reconstruction project. We will have that meeting every month with Cook County, Strand Engineering, and R.M. Chin, who is the communications consultant that is working on the project. We received a draft public involvement plan. Indian Head Park administration and trustees suggested revisions to the team at Cook County on July 31st, and they were accepted by the county. The final public involvement plan, when finalized, will be available on the village website. The number of IHP residents on the CAC, the Corridor Advisory Council, will be 4 of the 5 resident positions. They will have 1 position to enable residents from other communities to participate. Corridor Advisory Council applications. The CAC application process will start in early September and be due by the end of September. And this will also be included on a project website that will be live around August 23rd that will be put up regarding the Wolf Road project. The village has provided the draft application for review, and we're providing feedback, comments, and edits with the communications consultant. The communications team, RM Chim, is formalizing the email and domain names for this project that will be used to capture feedback and facilitate communication. The first CAC meeting is tentatively scheduled to be held in October, potentially the week of October 16th, depending on schedules. You will see a specific reconstruction website launch on August 23rd. Update on the Chief of Police recruiting. We are conducting interviews with 6 candidates for Chief of Police on August 16th and 17th. We hope to conduct final interviews the week of August 21st and make final candidate selection soon after. The initial interviews will be conducted by Trustee O'Laughlin, myself, and Gavin Morgan. Final interviews will be with an extended interview team. National Night Out. On August 1st, the Indian Head Park community came together at Black Hawk Park to celebrate our inaugural National Night Out. This special event, aimed at enhancing crime prevention through community partnerships and supports, I am hoping will become an annual event in Indian Head Park. We extend our gratitude to those who showed leadership in organizing and contributing to the success of this event. The evening was filled with exciting activities for everyone to enjoy. Over 15 business groups and organizations participated in a vibrant business and community fair. Attendees were treated to popcorn, snow cones, giveaways, live entertainment, and the thrilling landing of not one, but 2 helicopters. Many thanks to the Coast Guard and Air Methods flight crews for spending so much time in Indian Head Park. The Touch-a-Truck experience, Model A exhibits, and the reptile show were also a hit among attendees as well. As the sun set and the full moon emerged, many gathered to enjoy a showing of this movie, Zootopia. The success of this year's National Night Out would not have been possible without the active participation and support of our residents, businesses, and organizations. We thank each and every one of you for contributing to the strength and the unity of our community. We thank our village administration, Public Works, Officer Rob Verber, who spearheaded this year's event, the police department teams and the chief, our resident volunteers, as well as our elected officials for this support of the inaugural event. So thank you. And lastly, on October 27th, 2011, our community was victimized by a horrible murder of a young woman, Kelly J. O'Loughlin, by a home invader who was subsequently sentenced to 160 years for taking this precious life. We have recently learned that the perpetrator has died in jail, and all appeals processes have ended. The aftermath of this heinous act has forever changed the O'Loughlin family and has left an indelible mark on our community, on our first responders who worked and assisted with the case, and the prosecution and witness teams who worked diligently to obtain the conviction. Her parents, through the Kelly J. O'Loughlin Foundation, continue to bring forth the light of Kelly's legacy, which memorializes her giving and joyful spirit through scholarships and other philanthropy. Our hearts remain with Kelly Joy and the O'Loughlin family. Kelly's spirit remains our shining beacon of hope. And now if we can move on to the consent agenda, please. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as established.
I'll second it.
Can we have a roll call?
Trustee Donnersberger. Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Gazis.
Aye.
Trustee O'Loughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Saldana.
Aye.
Trustee Svetska.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All righty, can we move on to new business now? Can we have,
I think we were going to talk a little bit, the financial
oh,
report.
do we want to have a financial report? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Trustee Eck. Would you like to give that?
No?
Or Helia?
Helia's got it.
The financial summary for the month ending July 2023. The cash on hand at the end of June was $3,307,000. Our total warrants for the month were $369,000. Total revenue came in at $446,000, leaving us with an ending balance of $3,383,000.
Thank you. Are there any questions on that or any of the other items on the consent agenda?
I'd like to point out that Helia's got almost all the money invested in interest-bearing accounts as well. So thank you, Helia.
Thank you. All right, if there are no questions about the consent agenda items, can we have a roll call vote, Clerk?
Yes. Trustee Donnersberger. Trustee Eck.
I think we just voted on it. I think we just voted on it, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you.
all right.
All righty, then we can move on to new business. Can I have a motion for item A, please?
I make a motion to pass ordinance 2023-21, an ordinance establishing a committee of the whole Board of Trustees.
I'll second that.
Any question on the committee of the whole ordinance that we've done a first reading and I believe a second reading on? Any questions?
Do we have a tentative time as to what month we might be first getting together?
My feeling, we talked about it this week, would be the first week of September, after the holiday. I believe is it a holiday week? Didn't we say that?
Yes, the holiday's on the 4th, and
So-
we were talking about meeting on the 7th.
We're thinking the 7th.
Yeah, and we just want to reiterate that most likely we'll have this every quarter.
Correct.
Approximate, not, okay,
Yes, we said when we discussed this that we would start quarterly.
quarterly.
And that can be changed. We just have to make sure it is scheduled as a meeting and that we take all the appropriate actions.
Okay,
when
September
we schedule
7th is a Thursday. Okay.
Yes. So that's tentative, but let's all sort of pencil that in for the 7th. Any other questions about the committee of the whole ordinance?
It's the 10th, right? Yeah.
Did you have a question, Trustee Eck?
I'm just getting my calendar
Oh, that's
working
okay.
for me, that's all. No questions. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. And there will be a normal agenda, and we will have all that posted so everyone will know what's going on with the first meeting, and we will help each other through our first committee of the whole, because we all know it's a new format for us. If there are no other questions, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Trustee Donnersberger. Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Gazis.
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Saldana.
Aye.
Trustee Svetska.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Item B of new business is a discussion on Arrowhead Point. I think we have Mr. McPartlin here to join us tonight to talk about Arrowhead Point. Oh, good, thank you. If you both would like to come and... Okay. I'm here to support. Thank you.
So previously, I did submit a letter, and I'm presuming that was distributed?
Yes, yes.
I have some photos.
Yeah, the photos are up on the
Oh,
board right now.
Then
Yes.
I don't need to hand them in. So my wife and I, we've been residents since 1999 when they were still building out Ashbrook. And at that time, it was a residence that lived there and that backed up to our house. So we're the house that backs up to on the corner of, right on Wolf Road there. We back up to the south end of Arrowhead Point. And I'm on the corner, and next to me is Mr. Munoz. And then there's another neighbor who's about 1/3 of her backyard also is open to the park. So we've been experiencing people, mainly I think children from school a lot, but cutting through the park and then through our yard. So naturally we're concerned from a perspective of there's a liability concern. We tried putting up extra trees and bushes and everything, and it has not stemmed the flow. So we have been hoping for a long time, and I think that actually when the village originally purchased the park and had plans for it and everything, and I'm pretty sure Meg Finnick is not here right now because her daughter is getting married, and so neither Meg nor Mark can make it. But she kind of spearheaded it that this was going to be done right and everything, and I think that if you go back and look in the record, there was supposed to be screening to protect those houses whose backyards abutted the park. And there's a berm there, but it never stemmed the flow. So we know just a few years ago, we even had someone like having a party, like teenagers in our backyard, sitting down on our patio, having a party one night in the summer. You know, this is convenient, and we're cutting through, and here's some patio furniture, so we use it. And we were just away for a month or so, And when we got back, the patio furniture had been rearranged again. So, and I have my wife's sister lives across the street, also an Indian Head Park resident, and she was going back and forth and keeping an eye on everything. So she's the one that noticed it. She goes, did you leave your chairs strewn about like this? And we said, well, no, we had arranged them very neatly. So no proof other than we think someone might have trespassed and sat down and had a party. So whatever can be done from our perspective to protect our private property and discourage, especially youngsters, I think, that are coming from the school, LaGrange Highlands. I think they'd be discouraged by a fence. And we had a couple of fence proposals. I think it's on the, And the ones that are actually highlighted in red are the ones that I think Mr. Munoz and the Phoenix and my wife and I think would work well. We don't really think that a living fence would work. We kind of tried that. We didn't put everything right together. We're hoping that eventually when the bushes grow and the trees grow that will happen, but it hasn't really happened, and I don't know that it ever would. My wife and I have a place in Florida where the village kind of has that responsibility too, and we end up paying every year to trim down the bushes because it just seems to grow wild, and we don't want that either. I think we want to have a view to the park, but we hope ideally that our private property can be protected from trespass. So I don't know if I had any more than that, but.
Thank you for the information. Did you want to also, Mr. Munoz?
I agree with him because I have young children. They're always playing back there. It's always on. I'm always looking because, having that barrier or fence, it kind of makes a detour for them to go around. And I was thinking about the living fence, and I said, well, the maintenance on it is it's expensive, watering, and what if the tree dies? And it kind of leaves it up to the person that might walk through saying, well, there's no fence, there's an opening, maybe I could just walk through, it's fine. It kind of leaves it to them to see if they, want to try to walk through. With the fence, it kind of says, well, there's no way to get through, so just go around. So that's what my thing is my children are always in the back, so that's my thing. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
I
for
have a
coming.
question. Yeah, included in the board material is a bid for fences A, B, and C, and it has the customer as Indian Head Park. Were you looking for the village to pay for this fence?
Yes, on the park property. No, we're not committed as residents of the Indian Park putting up our own fence.
You would have to go to Public Works, I'm sorry, to the
Planning and zoning.
Planning and Zoning Committee and request that.
Yeah, whatever process you put out, we want to follow.
Yeah, so I think there was some discussion because there were other fences in the Heritage Center, which is a public area where there were fences put up by the village. And there's also commercial fences in back of Walgreens, which were put up under, I believe, ordinance, right? So when we had these discussions before, I think they're coming to us saying, and they had already come one other time, this is their second time having these discussions, that they were asking for the village to put up a fence. So these quotes were Andy's suggestion to find out if we did a natural fence or a real fence for your information, not saying we should or shouldn't do it. This would be the costs associated with it. So he just wanted, I think, the reason why this was in the packet to say, if we did this, this is how much a fence, a metal architectural fence would be. And then we can also find out if you all think this is a good idea. The residents have talked to you about their issues and concerns. We have to discuss, how do you feel, what is your opinion about their request? And I think tonight that's what we wanted to do. They wanted to present their feelings about what their challenges are with trespassing, and then how can we come to a solution that we can all agree on moving forward that's going to be effective to stop the trespassing. So that's when they originally contacted the village. They wanted to find a solution that would decrease or eliminate the trespassing into their yards. So I think that's why this is not going to be voted on tonight. It says no motion needed for discussion. So I think we all have to discuss, what does everybody feel about the request? What do we want to do? We have a fence in another park. We have other parks where we don't have fences. So how do we want to respond to the residents' issue, and what is the best way to go about this?
So, quick question, if I may. I see the estimate that was provided for like an architectural wrought iron style fence, which I think varied anywhere from 14,000 to 17,000 based on the overall height. Did we look at what the cost would be to do like a hedging, like a plant, a live fence, if you would, just for comparison purposes on cost?
So we didn't get any formal quote. We did call around a little bit, and it would be roughly the same. But before we went out and started getting all the quotes and stuff like that, staff wanted to bring this to the board for discussion to see if that's something that the board wants us to pursue. Is spending this anywhere from $10,000 to $17,000 on a barrier there, something that the village wants to do. And if the board is interested, staff can get more quotes for all different kinds of landscaping or different fencing options and bring them back.
And were there trees in that area that have recently been removed? I saw a mention, I think, in one of the letters about some trees have come down recently or something. Is that accurate or no?
My understanding is that recently one tree was removed. I don't know if the homeowners are aware of any others, but I think one was recently removed. And so whenever the village removes a tree that's on our property, we then put it on a list for us to replace as part of our annual tree planting program. So the one that was removed will be replaced.
Okay,
So
thank you.
so one of the things, I moved to Indian Head Park back in 1997, and next door to us it was vacant land. And then the following year, in 1998, they did put a park there. And we had kids, we had grown-ups running through our yard. So what we did is we actually, in 2011, we decided to, we even had the police department running through the yard trying to chase down kids. So we've had it because we live right next to the park. But in 2011, 2012, we put evergreens, and they're huge now, and we put them close. We spent the money. The village did not buy this for us. We spent the money ourselves, and now we have no issues in that. So I would think going shrubbery, if you want to do something to deter kids from coming into your yards, or the adults, or even the police, just put up big evergreens and.
We did do that. We tried, so there are trees, I don't know if the pictures are still, there are trees, it's just the kids easily see them. When you plant evergreens that we planted, they have to be a certain distance apart because they age. So there's easily room for them to get by. One of them actually died and we had to replace it. So we're incurring all this expense. And if it's going to work, it will be a few years.
Oh, no, I totally understand because we were there, and we had 4 children in that, so we were there. We totally understand what you're saying, and that. But we were trying to be proactive on our own, and that because the village did not do anything for us, so we were proactive on our own, trying to make it safe for our children, as well as trying to segregate the park from our property.
I didn't mention this. I did mention it in my letter. I didn't mention it on the spoke, but the east boundary line of the park is completely fenced. The fence.
The Highlands, yes.
And so there's fencing there, and it doesn't really look that good because it's a cacophony of fences. It's a chain link fence and there's some different kinds of fences. So I think if you were to put a nice
Timber trails.
wood fence just along the back, that actually enhance the park as well.
But my concern is that we're going to start a precedent, because if you put any type of fence on Wolf Road, people going all the way down Wolf Road's going to want fence. I would love to have the village to do a fence for us too, a wrought iron fence between the park and that. But I don't think it's fair to the rest of the village to take the money away from the rest of the village, so that's why we were.
And I would just argue it's not fair for one or two
Well, that's the way it is by our house. We had our house and the house right behind us. It's the same thing. What's that? Oh, no, because we, yeah.
I would suggest that we have a landscape architect, or they should have a landscape architect look at designing an appropriate planting, evergreens or whatever, with the other thorn bushes or whatever might work that handle this, perhaps much less than a fence, or equal to, but it would look much better, obviously, than a fence. Qualified landscape architect.
Is there any utility of, I heard the word berm, so I understand that, we're talking about greenery now. Sometimes I think berming is very effective. So I'm just bringing that up as an alternative. I'm not saying it's a good idea or a bad idea, but does anybody else have any other opinions? I see other people thinking through this. So Christina, do you have an opinion?
Considering that they were requesting the idea of fencing the park because other parks have fences, we should consider the possibility of doing some kind of share cost for benefit of both the Indian Head Park and the residents. Just consider how much would it cost, what can be done if it would be to be shared, and just get the best answer. And I do think that a live fence would be better looking, and it would be more consistent with our mission as a forest in the part of our forest, Tree City.
I would say there's two issues. Number one, is it an issue of the fence, or is it an issue of village funds protecting the residents from the trespass? So we have a fence issue, and we have a funding of the fence / live fence, et cetera. And then obviously, as Brenda alluded to, it is an issue in the community and on Wolf Road now and going forward. So I think we have to look at it separately. Or is Brenda, I guess I would say specifically, is the issue more from your perspective the fence, or that the village is funding the fence?
The village funding the fence.
Okay.
Same view here.
So, taking that, if the residents, I guess hypothetically, went to planning and zoning with a variance request to put up a wrought iron decorative fence like they have at Timber Trails to protect their property from trespass, not that we can say here whether that would be, I don't even want to say acceptable, but recommended or not, but, or a shared kind of situation. So I don't have a problem with, I think I'm in the Brenda camp. The wrought iron, the decorative fencing, rather than it looks like the residents from Highlands have the hodgepodge as they back up to that. And I don't have a problem with a nice decorative fence, whether it's a shared expense or the resident's expense. I guess that's where my issue would be as I sit here.
So maybe that's a good question for the petitioners. If this were to come back as something that you would present to planning and zoning to get a variance for your yards to install on your own a fence along that back section, what are your thoughts, knowing, what kind of price point we're talking about? Would you automatically say no, or would that be something that you'd want to continue a conversation on?
Sitting here, I don't know. I got price point from two of us giving $15,000 for fences on our property.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that was a metal architectural fence, so in their presentation, they had more of a wood option in what he just showed you all.
Yeah.
So I don't know which is more or less, but, I think their viewpoint was a little different visually than the what Andy put together. I think they looked at it a little bit differently. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer, but I think they looked at it a little differently in the visuals that they provided tonight, which are right there. So it's a little different I thought wood, if you looked at the pictures there next to the sidewalk, that's, I think, what you were envisioning, not the timber, we keep referring to the timber
timber trails,
trails,
yeah.
metal, black metal. So, which is, I think, I think that might be in one of the pictures too, I'm not sure, but that specifically is wood, I believe, what you're presenting, Mr. McPartlin, right? Yeah. So I think what we should do is, you have understood the issue that's been presented to us by the families on that side of Ashbrook regarding the park and the trespassing. So I think we need to give some guidance to the residents about what we think could be the next steps, if we can. I think you've heard some of this, right? That there is some concern about the village funding this to set a precedent, because we also have people that have spoken about Plainfield and Wolf Road reconstruction that have wanted a fence on the busy street, okay, because of that. Right. So what everybody's afraid of is we have empathy to your trespassing issue. Trust me, we do. But I think what I'm hearing is that there's people on the board that feel it would be setting a precedent from a financial commitment standpoint. If we approve this to be done, then we, on the Wolf Road side and Plainfield Road side, could potentially set a precedent to funding some of the fences there.
I understand that. I would just say, other than Mrs. O'Loughlin's situation a few years ago, how many, it seems like a case-by-case basis, and someone wants to have the passion about it that we have. This has been out there for years now, so I know that is something that there's a whole process to go through. I understand the pressure.
And I guess by way of history, Heritage Center has that one-sided fence, kind of predates
Well, it's two-sided, actually.
two-sided. So
Yeah,
the residents
wood.
and the village both participated in.
No, that was a village expenditure, and it was put up by the village. So. Correct. That's why I'm saying, and, right, this is.
It's not even decorative.
Correct. So, again, we have to hear the concern, and I think you guys were you prepared very well, and we understand. I think we as a board have to come up with some feedback about how we want to take the next step or not for them to go to planning and zoning, or what we want to do here.
I'm just curious too, just to ask a question. Do you have like the ring bell in the back of your yard and lights go on? I mean, those are a great deterrent, because at nighttime, and the chief could speak for me on my behalf, there are kids over in the park that we have to chase out on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And but that really helps out too, and that because, like I say, there's kids going down there all the time at nighttime. And then when the police do come, they do try to divert throughout the neighborhood and what have you. So I mean, I do sympathize with you. I know what you're going through, and it's.
A large part of the trespass that occurs is our proximity to the Range Highlands.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the kids come as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, no, because they cut through the front of our yard, too, when the kids are going to the park. So I get it. I understand what you're saying.
So do we need to do a thumbs up or a thumbs down? I mean, how do you think, Andy, do you have a suggestion on how you want us to proceed? Because you've been involved in this a little bit. Should we defer this for them to go to planning and zoning? Because then it's just going to come back here, right? If they were to do the fence themselves and fund the fence themselves.
President? I'm sorry.
The only reason we would go to zoning planning is if we were the ones that do it on our.
Correct.
I think then that the appropriate next step would be to, and now that staff has gotten some feedback on the thoughts of the board, we've heard a bit more from the homeowners about their problem. Let us do a little investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Let us write a memo to you all some possible options, and I think that's the best way to proceed.
And I would suggest to add all of the different possibilities now that they have been aired out.
Yes.
Including share cost, wood, live fence, etc.
Yeah, we'll provide options to the board and also options to the residents, and go forward.
Thank you. Thank you for the discussion tonight. Appreciate it. All righty, can we now go on to new business item C?
I make a motion to pass Resolution 07-2023, a resolution providing for an appointed clerk.
I'll second that.
Oh.
Andy, are you going to handle that?
Yes. All right, so the next three items on the agenda are all related to each other. This is kind of the three-step solution to having an appointed clerk. You know, this is something that we talked about a bit at our last meeting. And so the first step is to pass a resolution establishing the clerk as an appointed position. Illinois state law requires this kind of resolution when making it an appointed instead of an elected position. The second step is an ordinance, which was recommended by village council. Right now in the code, it says that the village treasurer and the village clerk serve without compensation. However, our actual practice is to include those responsibilities in the pay rate for those employees, and because of that conflict between our practice, our intended practice, and our existing ordinance, council is recommending that we just remove that. And then the third and final step is a resolution concurring with the appointment, the nomination of the President Winberg of Sarah to be the village clerk. So that's the three-step process. This first resolution is the first one to change it from an elected to an appointed position.
Are there any questions about the first resolution?
No question.
If there are no questions, could we have a roll call vote?
Trustee Donnersberger? Trustee Eck?
Aye.
Trustee Gazis?
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin?
Aye.
Trustee Saldana?
Aye.
Trustee Svetska?
Aye.
The motion carries.
Make the next motion.
I now make a motion to pass ordinance 2023-24, an ordinance pertaining to the compensation for the appointed clerk and treasurer.
And I will second that, please.
Any discussions or questions on this item?
You already explained it.
No question.
If there are no other questions, could we have a roll call vote, clerk?
Trustee Donnersberger? Trustee Eck?
Aye.
Trustee Gazis?
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin?
Aye.
Trustee Saldana?
Aye.
Trustee Svetska?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And
Could I have a
last-
motion, please, for the next resolution?
This is the last part of this trifecta. I make a motion to pass Resolution 08-2024, a resolution concurring with the village clerk appointment.
I'll second.
Do I hear any questions or comments? If there are none, could I please have a roll call vote, clerk?
Trustee Donnersberger? Trustee Eck?
Aye.
Trustee Gazis?
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin?
Aye.
Trustee Saldana?
Aye.
Trustee Svetska?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Could I please get a motion for the next ordinance, please?
Sorry. I make a motion to pass ordinance 2023-25, an ordinance amending liquor licensing and sales.
I'll second it.
Andy, would you like to review this?
Yes, I will. So this ordinance has three parts to it. Staff started investigating possible changes to our liquor licensing code at the direction of President Winberg, who, in addition to being the village president, is also the village's liquor commissioner. And so the first thing that we looked at was ways to increase safety and accountability for liquor license holders. And the thing that we narrowed in on there would be to require that all liquor license holders in the village provide Bassett training certifications, proof that their managers and their servers have Bassett training. As I have written in the memo, Bassett stands for Beverage Alcohol Sellers and Servers Education and Training. It's basically just kind of training for people who serve alcohol to identify maybe if somebody's had too much or if somebody's too young, things like that, just to make sure that alcohol is being served in a responsible way. Bassett training is already required from the state for all liquor license holders. However, a lot of municipalities put it in their own village code as well, just as an extra level of enforcement, since the local governments are often the ones. I mean, the state and the local government both enforce the liquor laws, but since we're here on the ground and we might know things that the state enforcement may not, it is beneficial to have this in the ordinance. So that's the first part, the training and safety. The second part would change the hours that packaged liquor for off-site consumption would be able to be sold. So the current code actually restricts packaged liquor sales from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. and 2 a.m. on Saturday, and that it cannot be sold at all on Sundays. This is something that actually just came to our attention in the last couple of months. It just, for one reason or the other, had not come up before, but I'm glad President Winberg caught it, and so now staff is recommending that we remove all limitations on the sale of packaged liquor as far as hours and days. And then finally, the third part of the ordinance has to do with the serving of on-premise alcohol. At this time in the village code, on-premise sales for restaurants begin at noon or after on Sundays and 11 a.m. and after on all other days. Our recommendation is to bring that time back to 9 a.m., the thought being that the current restrictions prohibit restaurants from having brunch specials, mimosas, that kind of thing. These kinds of changes for this whole ordinance not only would help with the safety and accountability, but also would probably increase our sales tax revenue a little bit by increasing the availability of selling these items.
I have a question. The new hours align with the state law?
Yeah, so the state gives the municipalities a lot of leeway in it. When I was working on doing the research for this, I looked at what our counterparts do as Western Springs, Burr Ridge, Countryside. Mm-hmm. Everybody does it a bit differently, but the thinking of myself and President Winberg was to provide flexibility for our businesses, and so that's how we landed on that 9 a.m. Time.
Any other questions? Hearing no other questions, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Donnersberger. Trustee Eck.
Aye.
Trustee Gazis.
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Saldana.
Aye.
Trustee Svetska.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you.
Mayor, I will send out letters to all of our liquor license holders notifying them of the changes in the code.
Great, thank you. That's very helpful, especially with our Bassett compliance, and I'm hoping they'll be happy about the hour changes as well. Thank you. It is now time in our meeting that we will take public comments.
My name is Chris Martin, and I live at 10 Elkhorn Trail. I was planning to come to the meeting basically to put out the notion of what would need to happen or where would we need to go if we wanted to get fiber optics available in our community. I understand that there are different companies that provide it. AT&T happens to be one of the big ones, I guess. And I don't know if other communities have had AT&T come to the board, or whether we have to do something and ask them if it can be available in our community. it is a cost, I suppose, a cost savings, and one that, if it's an improvement to our current, where we currently get internet and so forth, that'd be great.
Great. I think Andy has some information for you.
I can speak to this just really quickly. So this is actually something I've been thinking about myself recently. And now that Gavin is on board, one of the things that we're planning to do is to meet with all of our different representatives, government, and our, especially our, in this regards, our representatives with the utilities, AT&T, Comcast. And so this will be one of the top things on our agenda when we meet with them. So more information to come.
Thank you for coming. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we will now move on to reports. Would we like to start? Jim Gazis, do you have any reports?
I think so.
I do not.
Danielle?
The only thing that I wanted to share is that the August landscape meeting that was planned for this upcoming Wednesday, the 16th, has been pushed back a week to Wednesday, the 23rd, to allow for some of the police chief interviews to take place. So anyone out there in the audience or anyone watching us, if you'd like to come, we'd love to have you. Thank you.
Brenda?
August 5th, we were supposed to have a movie night, and I'm assuming that it's stormed here. I was not here, so big time is from what I hear, and very wet. So we are looking into rescheduling it for September. I'm waiting to hear back from Windy City, as well as, a few other things. And then we'll set a date, and we will post it once we hear back.
And this will be the C-SPAR event, so many of our village residents like to know there's food for this event, so we will let everyone know when it is rescheduled, because I know it's very popular.
Yes, popcorn, cotton candy, hamburgers, hot dogs, usually soda, water. And not sure what else they're going to bring, but, so we're excited.
Trustee Egg?
2 reports. The Finance Committee is coordinating with staff the impact of the pump house on the budget, as well as cash flow, and we will be looking over the next several weeks in regards to see if we can find some sources of revenue to pay for that $2 million pump house project. And also in regards to Public Works, we're meeting regularly and monthly. We're looking at streets. We're also looking at the 3 main buildings that Indian Head Park has. This is one, the main one here. You've got the Public Works building, and you also have the Heritage Center, and we're going to be looking at that over a period of time. In regards to that, we had talked previously about Strand coming and giving a brief presentation on their feasibility study in regards to those buildings. I thought it was going to be today, but that got changed, I guess.
We'll have to regroup on that.
Yeah, okay. So anyhow, that's what Public Works is working on, and the Finance Committee, and we're moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Christina?
Yes, so I have one very short one and one a little bit lengthy. The short one, we had our very first meeting for the Senior and Family Committee, and it was our very first meeting, and we basically established what our goals are and how we're going to be moving forward, trying to bring services to seniors and families in the area. And the second one is we met with Cook County Assessor Fritz Kagi, who came with a big team to talk to us. He wanted to meet with the mayor, and with my background, I ended up in the meeting, and he wanted to talk to us about how the assessments are going to be impacting the property tax bills this next year, because they're reassessing 2023, which gets paid in 2024. One of the situations that might be making it a little bit more burdensome on property owners is the fact that in front of the governor is a bill that includes one amended section that they amended at the very last moment to allow for the nursing home in our town and all nursing homes in Cook County to become residential, considered residential and not a business. Therefore, their tax liability would lower dramatically, and those taxes will shift to the other residents of the towns. Our town is being so small and mostly relying on property taxes from residents more than businesses. We would see a huge impact per homeowner. We are looking to start a campaign where our residents would join in this campaign by writing a letter to the governor. We would collect the letters and bring them to the governor ourselves to make sure that he reads them, asking him to veto that portion of the bill. The other parts of the bill are very good, but this one is very bad. So that and the fact that we're going to continue working with him on other issues affecting our town. They rely on our own reporting so they can assess appropriately. They're trying to be equitable. And so we're going to continue talking to them and making sure that our assessment when it comes back is fair. And that's the report.
Thank you. So there will be more information forthcoming on the letter process. We'll have templates available on the website, and then we will want, especially the HOAs, if they can be organized in getting their residents to get the letters back to us. We feel that presenting this in a binder all at once and collecting the letters is more effective to deliver this to the governor's office than sending these in the mail. So I don't want the residents just to start sending things in mail. If we can collect the letters back here at Village Hall, and then we will present this in a binder and take that to Governor Pritzker's office as time allows, because the veto session, we have some time here before the veto session starts. So we will be forthcoming with more information on that in that template letter. Village Clerk, do you have a report?
No, no report.
Village Treasurer?
No report.
Village Attorney? Village Administrator?
Yes, just real quickly, since this is only my 14th day, I don't have a lot to report yet, but I do want to thank the board and the staff for welcoming me and for freely sharing your wisdom and perspectives in my first couple of weeks. I'm excited to be working with all of you. I'm excited to be working for all of you out there in the audience and at home on YouTube. I've met with each of the trustees and most of the staff, and I'm getting up to speed on the ongoing projects and on the projects that are in the pipeline. And Andy and I, specifically, have been meeting with Justin and Chief Kernick and Arhelia to develop priorities and strategies for addressing some of the board's visions for accountability, transparency, technology, branding, development, and fiscal responsibility, among other things. And we've also been reviewing the current fiscal year 24 budget, looking for things that can be adjusted, moved, removed, with the goal of getting to the end of the year in a positive position on our revenues and expenditures. We will be presenting a work plan to the Committee of the Whole, the meeting that's tentatively scheduled for September 7th. And that will be laid out as for the rest of this year, 2023, and then the first half of 2024, and then the last 6 months of 2024. So we're looking to bite off 6-month chunks with that plan. And as Andy mentioned, we'll be setting up meetings with our elected officials at various levels of government, and also meeting with the utilities, with other partners in the area, as well as our colleagues at other taxing bodies, other governing bodies, to just investigate some of the ways we can work together and we can support each other in moving all of our communities forward. So.
Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Gavin. Andy?
Yes, two quick things. One, I forgot to note during the public comments that we received a comment from Amy Eckert addressed to Justin and the Public Works crew, just thanking them for their hard work at Blackhawk Park, getting it ready for the National Night Out. For my own report, I just have a very brief update on our transition tornado. The village has been in contact with county, state, and federal officials regarding trying to figure out opportunities to receive emergency funding. We have heard from Representative Kasten's office that it is likely that Governor Pritzker will ask for FEMA funding for Illinois counties. Whether or not that money will eventually flow to us is still to be determined, but we will continue to monitor the situation and stay in contact and try to get our elected officials to advocate on our behalf. So we'll be reporting on this until a resolution is determined one way or the other. And that's all I have.
Department heads. Mike? I don't think the mic's working, Dave. You can take Sarah's, maybe?
Sarah doesn't talk. Good evening. A couple of short things before I introduce Rob, who is going to probably talk and talk and talk, as you all know he can. But we had one full-time officer resign, Lou Diatomo, who was moving to Florida. His effective date was July 30th. Lou had been off for the last several months after having individual off-duty surgery, nothing related to his job. We have hired a new full-time officer, comes to us from Wheeling after 25 years of experience there. And we have a new part-time officer with 30 years of Berwyn Police Department experience. Hopefully that's going to help relieve some of our overtime costs that we've been experiencing. Our lateral application just closed, and we have 8 qualified applicants, and the Police and Fire Commissioner is reviewing that for future considerations. And that's all I have. So now it's time for Rob.
Thank you. Rob?
Thanks, Chief Kernick. First off, I'd like to welcome our newly installed village manager, Gavin Morgan, who I had the pleasure of meeting this afternoon. Very quickly, just going to go grocery list of thanking everyone for National Night Out. We still have to have our debriefing meeting, so we're going to fine-tune that, and we're going to do even better things for next year. I'd like to thank President Wittenberg for spearheading several of the committees and assisting me with this, because it's a Herculean task. Charles Eck, our trustee, Christina Saldana, Trustee Saldana, not only for participating, but also going out on behalf of the event and soliciting for the funds. And you did a yeoman's job at that, and I can't thank you enough for doing that. Thank you. Eileen Donnersberger, our trustee, Andy Farini, our assistant village manager, our Haley Garbaz, our village treasurer, Jill Pilichuk, and as well as Sarah Sophie, our front office ladies, who, whether they realize it or not, they were instrumental in helping us put this event together. So we're all pulling in the same direction. And as I said in the video, which is forthcoming, I want to thank Justin Fuller from Public Works and his group for really stepping up, and for the skeleton crew that they have for doing what they did. On the Acacia side, I'd like to thank Joe Consolo, the president of the Acacia Homeowners Association, Bill King, and Amy Eckert with Village Relations for doing what she had done. And just 2 big shout-outs, I should say, Wintrust Bank, their Countryside location, for putting together or putting forth a very large, substantial amount of funding for the program, or for the event, I should say. And in SBC Waste Solutions, I know this may sound trivial, they came up with the Porta-Johns. I know that may seem minor. However, when you have a large event like this, you do need all these ancillary things. And of course, my command staff, specifically Chief Mike Kernick, for giving me the time to do this, because not only am I working the street, but I'm also putting these events together, which it's a labor of love. That's all I can say to that end. And then, not last but not least, all the officers that were there that evening that assisted not only with the helicopter and the touch-it truck, just out there doing truly what this event is really all about. And it's having that police, community, as well as our business partner relationship, and having that all meld together. And from what I hear, it went off great. It went off great. I don't know how I'm going to make next year even better, but I promise, I have a promise to the village that I am going to do so. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Did you get the video of the helicopter taking off?
We have, I'm currently, not me solely, I can't claim sole responsibility for the video. The video should be ready by the middle of next month. It's going to be broadcast quality. We're taking approximately 50 minutes of footage and breaking it down to roughly 30 minutes with intro by President Eckert and outro by myself. Everyone got a little tease on our Facebook page about my newfound Facebook cheering crowd. Yes, there is going to be a video that's going to include both Lifestar helicopter and the U.S. Coast Guard helicopter. Since we're on that, thanking the U.S. Coast Guard, Marine Air Corps, Marine Station Miami, and Marine Corps Safety Unit Chicago for actually assisting in putting that together. So yes, the helicopters will be included in the video, yes.
Thank you.
Can I just say one thing that I just want to thank you because the kids had a blast.
They did.
They
Loved
were
it.
just so impressed with the helicopters, and the crew was just amazing with them.
They were full of energy.
Yeah.
It was draining just to, they came off that helo. It wasn't like, they were right off as soon as they touched down. They were out of the helo. They were ready to engage. They were active. They were enthusiastic,
Amazing.
which really showed. I was, being a former Marine, we had kind of had that little bond. Although it's Coast Guard, I don't want to diminish the ability of our Coast Guard because they are one of our Department of Defense members. It was fantastic, as well as Lifestar. I don't want the Coast Guard to overshadow the Lifestar crew.
Oh
They
no,
did
the
a
Lifestar
fantastic
were
job as well.
amazing too. When the lady took off her helmet and everybody wanted
It was our
pictures
flight
with
nurse.
her, it was just amazing because
That
the
was,
parents were go,
Yeah.
take a picture with her. So they were very, very nice and very graceful. Thank
Yeah,
you so
they were.
much.
And I thank the board. We're all pulling in the same direction, and for Acacia for helping out as well, and as well as my administration staff for allowing me to take the time to actually do these types of activities.
Thank you, Rob. Did I miss anybody before we make a motion to adjourn this meeting? Nope. All righty. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second it. Thanks.
I will make a motion I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.